I honestly think he's just an extreme narcissist who loves power. He loves the ability to manipulate and control people. Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was Andre.
Andre Harrell,
Tell us, how
who
was
was
he victimized?
mentored by Clive Davis. My focus right now is Sean Combs
Okay, tell us why. Tell us why.
because he's a trafficker and
Okay.
he's using music and entertainment to sex traffic.
So it looks like Jaguar Wright is not taking her foot off of Diddy's neck anytime soon because she is determined to expose him and she will not stop at anything to ensure that she leaks every last one of his secrets. Listen, Jaguar is now taking things further because she is exposing not only Diddy but also Andre Harrel and the Clive Davis. According to her, the reason Diddy got his big break in the industry is because he was the boy toy to not only Andre, but also Clive Davis. And get this, E is claiming that Andre and Clive say Diddy groomed him, even had their sons with him. Listen, you'll better hop in cuz it's about to be a rocky ride cuz Jaguar is H true spill.
Now, rumor has it, allegedly, Diddy got on his knees for Clive Davis in 1994, and that's how Bad Boy Records came about.
Okay, so since Cassie dropped her lawsuit, everyone has been wondering how on earth one person could be so mean and cruel as to do such horrible things to someone else. Cuz listen, the things Cassie talked about in the lawsuit were out of this world. It was the sort of thing you watch in movies and wonder if this could ever happen in real life. It's not like she was making stuff up out of the thin air and trying to shake Diddy down for some cash. Right, since the lawsuit went public, several people have stepped forward to back up her claims. Some people are even saying that she didn't spill all the tea in the lawsuit, and the situation was even worse than she let on. The lawsuit covers so many aspects of Diddy and Cassie's relationship, like how they started dating when Diddy was 37 and Cassie was only 19 now. I'm not the one to judge, but a guy pushing 40 going after a 19-year-old that just screams all types of red flags, and you could take my word for it as if the age gap wasn't waving a big enough red flag. Let's talk about how Cassie was signed to D's label Bad Boy Records at the time. So not only was he significantly older than her, but he also had her entire career in the palm of his hands. That kind of power dynamic in a relationship rarely ever ends well. And it's like Diddy set his sights on Cassie the moment he signed her. And a part of me is wondering if he signed her just as a plot trap to get her in a relationship that she couldn't escape, but to add food to the fire Cassie didn't actually have a successful career under Bad Boy Records. Instead, she got more attention as Diddy's arm candy than for her music career. But to make it weirder, Diddy was already in a relationship with Kim Porter when he started chasing after Cassie. So yeah, it's safe to say Diddy's intentions weren't exactly noble from the get-go. It didn't take long before Cassie found herself on the receiving end of Diddy's hurtful actions, allegedly turning her into his victim, according to what she shared in the lawsuit. Those 11 years with him were nothing short of a painful ordeal. I mean, the court documents even slapped a trigger warning on the first page. If that wasn't spelling trouble enough, then I don't know what is. Listen, yo, I have never in my entire life seen a court document with a trigger warning. And that's how y'all know that this lawsuit was going to be a crazy one. One of the first things that she said in the lawsuit was that Diddy S.A'd Miss Venter in her own home after she tried to leave him off. 10 punched, kicked, and stomped on Miss Venter, resulting in her lips, black eyes, and forced Miss Venter to engage in intimate acts with male SUVs. While getting off on it and filming the encounters, demanded that Miss Venter to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Miss Venter to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol, and substance required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. But that's not even all, y'all, because she went on and on about the things that Diddy did to her, especially about how he put his hands on her whenever he got mad. On one occasion, Mr. Combs Miss Venter repeatedly in an Escalade, including by kicking and hitting her. He forced her out of the vehicle on Fifth Avenue in New York City. She was eventually able to hitch a cab and get to her apartment in Manhattan. Then there's the time she went out to a nightclub and Cassie struck up a conversation with the music manager in the club. And Diddy got so furious that he lost his temper on their way home. The court documents said Mr. Combs misventure pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stomping on her face when the car arrived at Mr. Combs' residence. Miss Venture attempted to run away, but Mr. Combs followed her and proceeded to again kick her in the face. Miss Venture was BL profusely and was ushered into Mr. Coles's home, where she began to throw up from the incident. Y'all, he would even put hands on her in front of his own staff, and they'd all just stand there watching him repeatedly hurt Cassie. Now, before we start pointing fingers at his staff and how they were Diddy's partners in crime, let them tell it they didn't have much of a choice. Diddy was their boss, and according to Cassie herself, they were just as scared of him as she was, and their hands were tied. She said these were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Coles's related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. But Diddy wasn't just mean and cruel to Cassie. Turns out he was downright a monster to everybody in his order. Honestly, is it really that shocking, y'all? Because considering anyone who can do that much damage to their girlfriend is basically a threat to humanity, like no exaggeration. But get this, Cassie is not the only one who got on the wrong side of Diddy's fist. After the lawsuit dropped, reports spill the tea that he's got a track record with getting physical with every woman he's been with. Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Gene, spilled tea on how he used to lay hands on his then-girlfriend and baby mama, Misa Hilton.
He was like always belittling me and always like, he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Now, remember how the tea got spilled about Diddy openly putting hands on Cassie in front of his staff? Well, he went into overdrive to keep his dirty secret, a secret he was so afraid the public would catch wind of his actions that he'd send Cass waits at private hotels and vacations to heal. Now, before anyone starts to do some victim-blaming questioning how Cassie stayed or talking about how she stayed for the money and fancy gifts, I need y'all to hold up. Full stop. Cassie wasn't just sitting by and letting him hurt her. She tried to break free multiple times, but she was signed to Diddy's label, and he held control of her career. Diddy took manipulation to a whole new level to keep Cassie in his clutches. According to the lawsuit, every time she tried to break free, he'd sick people from the record label on her, basically telling her that she had to get back with him or face serious regrets, which is a classic manipulation move. But get this, when Cassie was dead set on leaving and even started dating Kia C, thinking she could finally move on, Diddy wasn't having any of it. Diddy found out about her new flame and lost it, and he didn't just take it badly. He straight up put hands on her and threw threats at Kit C, making it crystal clear that leaving wasn't going to be a walk in the park. That court documents said that Mr. Combs told Miss Venter that he was going to blow up Kit's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kit Sia was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kit's car exploded in his driveway, but Cotty and Cassie weren't the only ones taking hits with this messed up saga. Diddy also got physical with his assistant at the time, Capricorn. She knew about Cassie's affair, but didn't snitch to Diddy, proving that she was a true ride or die for Cassie. Sadly, being loyal came at a cost for Capricorn, and she suffered big time. And before everyone starts saying that she made this up, Sue Knight brought this up on a recent episode of his podcast, where he backed up Capricorn